We're live, Kevin Reeves.
Yes, the clock is ticking.
Techie. Well, like
Yeah,
always, really good to see you here. Thank you for being here, as always.
yeah, absolutely.
So, welcome back to Dummies, Guys to Excuses and our part two of what happens if you stop making excuses.
Yeah,
And
we were on a roll last week, and we thought, let's just keep going.
yes, as I mean, when you were talking earlier before this, I was just like writing stuff down. So, oh my God, like just just floods of things and moments of learning like what if I didn't make this an excuse? And well, anyway, my name is Jimmy Allen. I'm your love and relationship coach.
I'm Kevin Reeves. I am a leadership coach and help with personal development and things of that nature.
Right. So, well, like speaking of leadership, like I was telling Kevin, like I was part of this leadership program training, and they would be on us, and we couldn't even have an excuse for anything. And it just like, God, like get your calendar in order. And one of the things that when I was studying with Maria Folio and last year during the pandemic, one of the things in Landmark is to tell us this stuff too. Like if it's not on your calendar, it ain't happening. And he used to drill that in us, like put it on your calendar, put it on your calendar, or it is not happening. And when especially in relationships, especially when you're busy, when I tell people when they enter this program, I'm like, if you're married, if you have kids, put your family on your schedule. Otherwise, it will, like doing a program like this, when they tell you, put your family on your calendar. Otherwise, you're going to see a huge disruption in your love life. So when last year when the pandemic started, I was like, okay, like I don't have an excuse of this job working like 6 hours, 7 days a week, all these hours. I don't have, I'm not dating. I can't use this person. I can't, these events. Like I'm home. Like I have to learn about business. I have, 24 hours. Like, what are we gonna do? And that
Yeah.
whole scheduling thing, I literally put myself on a schedule every single day to get stuff to learn because I had so much to learn. I was seeing two business coaches at the same time. I had a lot to learn. So just getting things done and seeing the results,
Right.
like this paying off.
Yeah, and it's great because you're talking about kind of like budgeting your time. It's the same thing with your money. We all do this money excuse too, right? We say, oh, I don't have the money for that. But really, we probably do if we just shift some things around. It's the
Right.
same thing. You said put it on your calendar. Same thing with put it on your budget. If you don't plan to spend this money, it's not going to happen. If you don't plan to save this money, it's not going to happen. Money just has this really great way of kind of evaporating if we don't like hold it down or tie
Right.
it down. And it's the same thing with our time, right? We just you have the things that are important, and those are on your calendar, and you make them happen. And then the other stuff just kind of like, oh, I just didn't get to that. Um,
Right.
and and so really, it is just that making that conscious decision. Hey, this is important, and so I want to include this in either my finances or I want to include this in my schedule. And so really kind of thinking through that of like, what are those things? Because so many times, it's like, I have all this stuff planned for the day. And then, my kids will say, hey, we want to play with you. I'm like, oh, I don't have time. And this is like one of the most important things in my life. But I really have to be conscious about it. Because, days will go by and we won't do anything. And I'm like, oh man, I really need to connect with the kids. So it is the decision to really add that in and make that something that's important to you.
Right. And especially like, I get a lot of people from with the dating side and like dating, they're like, well, how do I know this person is serious? And I said, well, how are they spending the time? Like, are they putting you on the calendar? Are they making you a priority? And I look for those things. Are they making time for me? Because people make time for what they want.
Right.
People will make time if they feel that this is going somewhere. And when I don't see that, I'm like, sorry, this ain't happening. You know what I mean? My first relationship, he was so strict about time, even like showing up 30 minutes early. It was so he really raised the bar for me
Right.
about like time because he was making an effort, and I wasn't like that in the beginning, but it really pushed me. It was
Mhm.
like really, he was really adamant about scheduling vacations, scheduling trips, scheduling movies, scheduling, Broadway shows. It was like he made time because he was very busy, and if I
Right.
wasn't on that schedule, we were one, we weren't spending time together, and two, I was going to get it because I wasn't prioritizing the relationship. The other person was always prioritizing the relationship. So I had to learn to stop making excuses and step it up. I had to really step up my game, start planning things, start looking at things, what's important to like really nurture the relationship. Because otherwise, it just looks like you're being lazy
Right.
in the
Right.
relationship. And I get a lot of complaints from women about men like, I can't do everything. Like, I can't come home, take care of the kids, cook for you, then plan everything. Like, I need help. This is what they're talking about. I want a partnership,
Right.
not have a big kid to take care of.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that with priorities, because it's the same thing with your money. You want to see what's important in your life, is like pull up your bank statement. What do you spend your money on? If you're prioritizing it, you're making those things important to you. And it's just a really little snapshot, but you can do that same thing for really anything. Look around your life right now. Like you can look around your house and see, like, what have I been doing? What am I doing in my spare time? What am I doing when it's at the end of the day? Like, what's important to me? Is it Netflix? Is it I'm working on this puzzle? Is it I'm reorganizing my filing cabinet? I mean, what is this thing that you're doing when you have a moment at home? Are you really into plants? Are you really into your kids? Whatever the thing is that you're doing and you're spending your time on, that's what you're putting your priorities on, and that's where your focus is on, which is fine. But this can just be like some of these kind of like aha moments that we get to explore, of finding out what is important to us and what are we spending our time on. And then that's going to show us too, like, where the excuses come in. Oh, I can't take care of plants. I'm no good with plants. If you really want plants, you could have plants. You could figure it out. You could learn about plants and get better, or you could get plants that don't die, or you get
Right.
plastic plants. But there's things we can look at here, right? But we come up with that excuse of like why I can't have plants or why it doesn't work for me. Maybe it's just you don't want plants. That's fine too. But just realize that. And I think some of this stuff is just we throw out these excuses left and right. And I think it really can just come back down to what do we really want? Because if we really want it, we can make it happen.
Right. And even with like going back to, the love part, um, what comes to my mind is like I was, chatting with someone a few years ago, and this person was telling me like they wanted a relationship. So as I was like going through his life and like why he hasn't, got into a relationship, he was prioritizing like staying basically in the closet because I was like, well, in order for you to be where you are in a relationship, because he had never been in a relationship, you aren't prioritizing a relationship. You being safe and not being found out is more important to you than being in a loving relationship. He said, well, I can't do that. And I was like, well, I know, because that's how you structured your life. So that won't happen. I was like, but if you're telling me you want to have a loving, open, honest relationship, you have to be that first. That
Right.
has to come for you. But you have all these excuses that you don't want to let go of, and that doesn't it
Right.
doesn't work. You
Right.
know what I mean? And I was like, you have to prioritize, and I say this even with myself, like I wanted someone emotionally available, but I can't demand that for someone if I'm not being that myself and I'm not with the people in my life. So I have to stop making excuses and stop being fearful of what may happen if I reveal myself. And I know a lot of people, when it comes to love, I remember talking to this another guy. He was like, "Well, I'm not going to share myself until they something like they were going to do it first." I was like, "Well, it doesn't work that way." I was like, "If this is what you want, you have to work on the roadblocks that are stopping you first, and stop making someone else's reaction your problem. Like, who said this? I can't remember who said this, but other people's problems and opinions about you is none of your business. Like,
Mm,
so when I started accepting, like, oh, like if I share myself openly and vulnerably and they don't like that or accept that, then I shouldn't shut down because of their reaction. That's their reaction. That's not my priority. My commitment to myself and love is to be open, honest, and vulnerable, because I can't use their, it's easy to use their reaction as an excuse to like shut down. But what if I didn't? What if I leaned in? That's my growth. That's how I'm growing. That's how I'm expanding. That's what
right.
I'm calling it.
Yeah, we
Cool.
use the term in coaching limiting beliefs a lot.
Yeah.
And I never heard that term until I got into coaching. But really, it's what it is. It's you're limiting yourself and what your potential is
Yes.
by your belief. And so it's these excuses that we throw out. And I just was talking. I support teachers as part of my role as a coach. In I help train them in coaching, and then I get to support them. And right now with this pandemic, I mean, teachers are just getting punched in the face, and
I know.
I mean, it sucked before the pandemic. Teachers were undervalued, underpaid, underappreciated, and now we have the pandemic. They have more work to do, and so it's really challenging. And so I like to support teachers in this. And this is like a really cool place to be able to show up for them. But we were just talking about this concept of setting intentions. And setting intentions is just really being a lot more mindful about what we're doing and what we're spending
Yeah.
our time on. Just recently, I set an intention to be more patient and to be more engaged. Like those two things that kind of go together for me. And so, like a simple thing is like putting my phone down. Setting my phone down, being more present, being more patient. It comes up all the time when I'm driving. It comes up with my kids. It comes up when I'm waiting at the DMV or wherever I'm going or whatever I'm doing. And it's just like this general. I need to be more patient and I need to be more engaged and more present
Yeah.
with my time. And so I set a simple intention around it. But I'm like noticing all these different places that are coming up for me with this same thing. And so it's like this really simple thing, but it's taking the excuse out. Oh, I'm too busy. Oh, I was on my phone. Oh, I had this, I had that. And it's putting it away. Okay, I'm here and I'm focused and I'm listening and I'm patient. And I'm noticing like the challenge of it, and I'm noticing like the things I love about it. And I'm just noticing stuff. And so I think this is a really sweet spot for you to, as we're talking about this excuses and what if you didn't make excuses? What if you made intentions? What if you set some things and really kind of like said, hey, here's a couple things I'd like to see differently. I look at my kitchen and I see like, man, I eat way too much junk food. I'm gonna make an intention to not eat chips for a month or for a week or whatever it is. Like we have this ability to set these intentions and to choose our life so much more than
Yeah.
we actually do or understand. And I remember when I first understood that and got that concept of like, man, I get to choose a lot more in my life than I thought I did. It was a really big deal for me. And I think this is one of those things because it's those excuses really sneak in the back door and they come in and you're just like, oh yeah, I can't do that. And he's like, this thing you totally believe right away. Right. And then it's like that you're living your life because of this thing that you just kind of like it walked by you and you grabbed onto it, And so I think it's a really cool place to like, okay, I'll let go of that. I'm going to think here for a minute and
Right.
figure out what I want to believe.
And I love that you brought up intentions, because that's something that when I started studying with Catherine, calling it one, she would always set an intention every single time for a life or relationship. Everything she does, she set an intention. And I really love that you brought it up, because not many people set intentions in their life unless they've heard it from a coach, unless they had some kind of like training or in some kind of personal development group. And like, I remember when Catherine, she was like, then the word intends mean I intend, means that I am going to do this. Not maybe, not someday. No, by the virtue of my word that I'm giving to this is going to happen because I intend to make this happen. Virtual by me saying, I intend on being more patient. And I love that you said that, because that's like you almost described a client that had 2 years ago, same scenario with his kids. Like he was always on his phone. He was like, even when he was going through divorce, and he was struggling, his kids were like sort of like being a little manic, and so we created an intention around his kids, and he was like, I want to be more engaged. And so I said, well, what does that look like? If you're more engaged, what would you do? What would you not do? He's like, well, then he kind of paused. He's like, well, I will not be on my phone when they're over here with me. I said, great. So when they're here, when you're at the pool, like it's pool time. Like put the phone down. Like you don't need to be, because he was like a general manager at this company. He was always working. So I was like, when your kids are here, don't work because you see them only 2 days a week, 2 or 3 days a week. So when it's pool time, it's pool time. When it's playtime, it's playtime. No phone time. You know
Right.
what I mean? And that when he started putting that in, his engagement with his kids, they became more calm. They started enjoy him more, and they started to like tell him like we enjoy this part of you, like we enjoy like your company, and that meant a lot to him that his kids said that to him. So he started making his time with his kids more priority, not doing work, not like answering emails or phone calls from lawyers. He was just like, this is my kid time. He had to explain
Right.
to everyone, this is my kids time, my time with my kids. I will call you at this particular time. So it
Right.
really enriched his relationship with his kids when he set his intention on how he wanted to be with his kids.
Right. Right. I mean, and you think about that, like the impact on those kids, and the impact on him, and the impact, like, I used to talk about this a lot with coaching, but it comes up is legacy. You think about like, what are those kids going to remember down the road, like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when this guy's passed away, it's going to be that he was engaged with us. It's
Right,
not that, for me, it's like, what's more important? Is it like connecting with my kids who, like, I'm their dad? I'm like this person in their life that's like a huge I'm the dad. You think about like, oh, you have daddy issues, or you have a father figure problem or authority, like that's me. Like, so it's that, or like what's the best breakfast cereal survey on Facebook, or like what kind of dog should I get? And I'm like scrolling around looking at this instead of like engaging with my kids. It's like it's those kind of priorities. But you look at like what the possibilities are, and what the significance is that you can have. I think that's a word that we don't use a lot, or think about a lot, but each one of us has so much ability and so much potential to create significance, not just for ourselves and like, like the king or whatever, but significance in like the meaningful relationships, or think about like just doing something better with your time than wasting it, frittering it away on some stupid survey, or some you're looking at something or whatever. Like, even if it's work, what's your priority? How much work? How much is enough? When it comes to money, how much is enough? We've had that conversation, I think, before, is like, how much money do you have to have at some point? Like, do you have to have $1 million? Is it $10 million? Is it $50 million? All these different things we talk about, like what's enough, and what are you striving for, and kind of making those priorities and setting those intentions.
right.
But we have to do some like pulling back, because we're like, our face is like in the dog dish of life, like we're just like in the bowl. And we're like, get out of there so you can actually like see around, like, what are we doing? Where are we going? Have some direction. And I think that's a lot of these things that Jimmy and I have been doing as we've been talking on Fridays. So much of it is take a step back, slow down, and observe what is going on. Because so many times we're just like moving so fast on this little hamster wheel that we just we get so sucked into it.
And I love what you're saying, like, as we winding it down, it's like, the things that you can do is like pause, step back, and look. And I would, add like, it's something that the word you use, impact. It's like, what is the impact on my life, my kids, my job, my love life, because I spend so much time on social media, because I'm not saying hello, because I'm on my phone and not with my kids. Like, really look at the impact. And if I prioritize my time, what is the impact? If I spent more time with my kids and not social media or not working all the time, how will their life be enriched? Like, be engaged in that question. Like, really look, let it impact you. And it's, I think, like why I'm saying engage, because like you have to like get it, not just think about it, but like get the impact viscerally, emotionally, of because I'm spending more time being promiscuous or being on social media all the time, heading a book on the subway or in the car, not saying hello to this potential person who's like looking at me in my face, like I'm more. I want love, but here I am in this situation to network or whatever. I'm more concerned or more interested what's on Instagram than being engaged. Like, what's the impact? Like, I have missed opportunities because I'm more engaged with my phone than engaged with the people that it's right in front of me. And with that, like, what's the impact of writing this person off who don't look like my ideal, or I can give up the excuse and just be engaged and curious with the person because the person that is meant for you doesn't look like what's in your head.
Right.
Like, what if I just gave up these beliefs in this moment and just be curious? Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and I think it's one that as we're kind of wrapping things up here, what are those things that what's important to you? Like, really, it comes down to like what's important to you. Is it your health? Is it your family? Is it your love life? Is it your job? Like, what is important to you? And then what are you going to do about it? How are you going to prioritize your time? How are you going to prioritize getting to the next stage of whatever you're trying to accomplish? And really looking at what are the excuses that are getting in the way.
Right. Before we go, I had a friend of mine to share. This is how like some things, like years ago before I became a coach, and I was sort of like being an inkling of being a coach. And my friend, she was like, "Well, I want this and this and this and this, but they can't. They have to have good feet. They can't have janky feet, something like that." And I paused. And everybody was like laughing at me because I was dramatic. And I was like, what is that excuse? I was like, she's like, I can't date someone who have messed up feet. And I was like, so if you met someone who's open, emotionally available, all the things you want, but because they have janky feet, you're going to allow that one thing, that excuse. I was like, he can get his feet done. I said, but when you meet somebody who's emotionally available, that person did some damn work to get there. Like, are you willing to give that up or hold on to that to have the love that you want in your life?
Well, I love that you even called it out as an excuse, because some people will be like, oh, no, that's my standard. And you're like, no, that's an excuse. Like, that's really what it is. And it's like, it's keeping you, because how many amazing, perfect people are out there like that? And then the ones that have bad feet, well, they're off the table. Well, you just narrowed your choice like way down small. Way harder. So really, it's you pushing back, saying, I'm not probably ever going to have this.
Right. Of like something that can be totally fixed, like cosmetically or whatever. But otherwise, what if the person doesn't want to get his feet fixed? But it's like,
what if they didn't have feet?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, what if you met this amazing person and they lost their feet?
Right.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry, I can't do this. Like, that's just, it feels like a Seinfeld episode is what it feels like. But
I know. Anyway, I can go on about this, but anyway, I know you have dad duties.
Yep.
And again, I appreciate doing this with you, and see you next Friday.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right.